What is happening, my good people? Greetings. Ugh, I know that was really bad right off the start. So if I blew out your speakers, my apologies. What is happening? What is going on? What is the latest and greatest? All I got to say is I am free. Free at last from the great Martin Luther King. I'll get to that in a moment. But first and foremost, I got to thank you guys and gals. Hey, I got no graphics up here. What's going on? Am I that excited that I am not able to at least show that for those who are hopping on board for their very first time, that yes, every Wednesday there's a live stream. And boy, it was dubious at the start of the week, which I'll touch on in a matter of moments. But it is December the 3rd in the year of our Lord 2025. And think about this. We're 3 weeks away from Christmas Eve, 4 weeks away from New Year's Eve. And yes, the clock is ticking. So before I even get into all that, let me just say welcome if this is your very first time, and welcome back if it's not, as we move it along here on this latest live stream. And let me tell you something. I'm ecstatic today. I'm looking forward to just getting back and forth with you guys and gals. And even though I was on last week, and of course I had J-Rod on with me, the diehard Michigan fan, which was a great treat to have him on for the very first time, to go along with the other regulars here, whether it be Biozai, whether it be Val B, whether it be Tatsuya, who I'm sure we'll see at some point, whether it be James D. Brent, we haven't seen in quite some time. Our guy north of the border in Ontario. Hopefully we'll see him soon. As a matter of fact, I need to reach out to him just to make sure all is well in his world. But yes, this was a pleasant surprise to be here, because I didn't think I was going to sit here in front of this camera and microphone to babble about what's happening in sports. And let's get right to it. But before I get to that, housekeeping, of course, share your thoughts in the chat room. My regulars know what they got to do, so that's a given. But for those who aren't live, please feel free to leave a comment. I'll be more than happy to follow up even once this is concluded, probably in the next hour and 15, 20, half hour, 2 hours. Who knows how long it'll be. So please feel free to do that. But let's start off by saying this. I was a little skeptical. I was a little nervous. And if you followed the live stream as well as the podcast and, of course, the channel here on YouTube, last Monday I got summoned for jury duty. And I did not have a podcast last Monday, which was pretty tough. And this past Monday I did put out a podcast because not only did I have to, I wanted to, but with the prior week, with so much going on, that Sunday, I was unable to record it that night. And yes, I know I could have recorded it on Monday, which I did this past week. But I figured, all right, I'll lay low. I'll just kind of feel it out, see what's going to happen here. And then last Tuesday, as I went back to jury duty, and I was there till 11:30, my name wasn't called. They're giving me the update saying that, well, we're going to call your name, but if not, we may send you home, and then we'll see you in 6 years. So I'm thinking, all right, well, let's see if I could get through the next couple of rounds. And it's interesting because at around 11:10, they gave me the first round, and I didn't hear my name. And then at 11:30, they went to the second round. I'm like, all right, well, they still haven't called my name. Let's see. And then the third round, they call my name. So we go upstairs. We're sitting in the courtroom, and I have to share this. It's funny. And now that it's over and done with, as you can see in the graphic, no more jury duty. I'm free. What happened? So now I'm sitting in the courtroom, and they pull out all, the ballots, everybody's name on and I see 15 people on. Oh, I appreciate you guys and gals hopping on board. And I got a funny story here. So before I even talk sports, I got to bring this up because this is all part of my story here in the last couple of weeks. If you wondered, Jay Reels, you didn't have a podcast last week. Or, hey, what happened to the podcast pregame? You had it on Friday instead of Thursday. Well, Thursday was Thanksgiving. But anyway, back to the jury duty story. And yes, this is not vodka. It's H2O. Fishing Angel, if you're on, I see some comments there. My apologies, no coconut water. Next week, maybe I'll put up a juice instead. So, oh, excuse me. Almost went down the wrong way. That's not a good thing. So let's not leave you suspended in suspense anymore. So now I'm sitting in the courtroom, and you have the ballot, and they're reading it off just to do a roll call. And it's interesting because the guy that was to the right of me, sitting in the courtroom, and I'll just say his name is John Smith to protect his identity, not that anybody knows who this guy is. So they go through all the names, and they say, John Smith. All right, Jason. Jay Reels. Raise my hand. So now the plaintiff's attorney is standing there, and he's addressing everybody with an opening statement saying that, hey, this is what the case is. And the case isn't anything crazy. I could talk about it now. But in 10 seconds or less, pretty much what happened was a guy who was a plumber. He was in his 60s. He was on a construction site, and he fell through a ditch 7 feet where he had to get surgery on his neck, his back, and I believe his shoulder. And he was trying to get a big, giant settlement, which I don't know what it was. They settled yesterday. Therefore, spoiler alert. But as they're explaining all this to the entire courtroom, and there had to be 15 of us at least, what happens is that after his opening statements, he goes into the, I'll call it like the bingo wheel. You know, the bingo wheel where you spin it and the balls pop up or whatever, and then it's like C5. So what happened? I see that the bingo wheel is there. The latch or the door was open, and they put all the cards in there. I guess the person who is the clerk, the law clerk, I believe, who had to read off the names to do the roll call. So he leaves all the cards there. So now I'm looking at the attorney who's reaching into the bingo wheel. And as he reaches into the bingo wheel, he pulls out the first name. Who was that first name? No, it wasn't mine. It was John Smith, the guy that was sitting to the right of me. So at that moment, I said to myself, maybe I should just get up and start walking to the front, because John Smith had to walk to the front where the jury sits. And I just knew in my gut, in my heart, mind, etc., I just knew that my name was going to be called next. And before they even called my name, I'm sitting there. I probably don't have a poker face. I'm just trying to keep it in because I knew my name was going to be called. And then sure enough, after a couple of minutes, when the John Smith sat down and he pulled out the next card, and of course, who was it? Yours truly. And I was just, damn it. I felt like saying, hey, could we do a recount or a redo? Just spin the wheel at least once. I almost get the impression that for whatever the reason, John Smith, and in my card, I guess maybe because they saw that I was unemployed, I probably should have put self-employed, even though I'm not earning any income, but considering I do this for a living, and maybe they would have thought otherwise. Who knows? I was thinking of all these different theories as to why they chose my name here last Tuesday. So now I sit up there and, you know, they're asking me all the questions. I had to fill out this questionnaire to say, you know, what is it that I'm doing right now? And do I know anybody that's been involved in accidents? And the whole screening process of being selected as a juror. And what was that all for? When it was all said and done, I was the fourth alternate because they already had chosen their 6 jurors, and I was the fourth one. So I had to go back this coming Monday, or this past Monday, I should say, and show up at 10 o'clock. And if you watch my live stream, I know, Bio, you were on there, and I appreciate that. I was outside the courthouse. I was trying to state my case, not necessarily for me to leave, but just to stay composed, to not go crazy. And yes, I could complain, I can't believe they picked me, and so on and so forth. And trust me, I did do that internally. And even when I left the courthouse there last Tuesday, as if to say, of course it was going to be me. And what am I going to do? They mentioned that this court or this trial was going to take place from Monday through Thursday of this week, take off Friday, off Monday, and then Tuesday through Friday next week, which how I looked at my schedule was, there goes my Monday podcast, which I still did, and it's up now if you want to check it out here on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, of course, the website, jreels.com. My live stream today was going to be sabotaged. My podcast pregame tomorrow sabotaged, as well as my podcast. And then next week, all right, I would have been home Monday, but then no live stream next week, no podcast. I mean, geez. So you already know the final month of 2025, as I'm trying to prepare myself to embark and get prepared for a big year in 2026, to take this podcast, live stream, this channel to heights that I could only dream of. And the first 2 weeks, they were automatically chopped off my legs to say, you got to come into jury duty. So you can imagine what I was thinking, how I was feeling. Now, I didn't vociferously come out, maybe on the podcast pregame, or in that case, I guess just the pregame, and it kind of was a podcast pregame because I did put out a podcast that night, but I didn't really say too much. Yeah, was I coming across bitter? No, I tried not to. I said, no, let me stay in a moment. Let's just see how it goes, whatever. And real quick, Monday I was there at 4:30. All right, be there at 9:30 yesterday. All right, get there at 9:30. It was a rainy, nasty morning, cloudy. I mean, it was just awful. So we get there, we're sitting in the jury room, and just so happened after the first 20 minutes, the court officer was a real nice guy. He's actually retiring in 11 months. Real nice guy. I don't know his name, so I wish I could shout him out. But he comes out and he says, hey, guys, they're talking. The judge, the attorneys. I don't have any inside information, but when they're talking and they're speaking, that's a good thing. I said, all right, fine. This was what? He came in at 9:30. He was just doing his roll call, and he was checking to see what was happening. So he came up around 10 to 10, came back around 20 minutes later. Fingers crossed. Hey, guys, they're still talking. It's a good sign. So on and so forth. Now it's 10:30. Third time. I got some good news. Okay, what's that? It looks like we may be leaving 3 o'clock, maybe sooner than that. That's the intel that I got here over the last 20 minutes between his stops on giving us updates as to what's happening there with the trial. So I'm like, all right, 3 o'clock. Sounds good. Maybe sooner than that. Fantastic. Now he comes back about 15 minutes later. So it's about 10:45. And he goes, guys, you can go home. They settled the case. Man, it was like New Year's Eve inside my body. I couldn't believe it. I was shocked. And even though he came with the fingers crossed, and when the judge and the attorneys were speaking amongst each other, whether it was the plaintiff's attorney, the defendant's attorney, etc., and I won't get into the whole thing. I'm going to spare you that because we did see the witness go up there. And mind you, the witness is Albanian. So he had a translator there, which they asked us prior to, is that going to be a problem, whatever? We said no. And how I looked at it was that this guy, I don't want to say he was shook, but yeah, he was stretching the truth there a little bit. So now I didn't want to put all my eggs in the basket to think that, oh, well, this is going to get settled sooner than later. But the point is that because of how that unfolded there with the plaintiff's attorney questioning his client, and the defense attorney didn't even get a chance. And one of the defense attorneys was a pit bull. He was saying that, oh, this guy's a liar, pointing at him at the sitting out in the courtroom. So anyway, with all that being said, when the court officer addressed to myself and the 9 other jurors, or 8 other jurors, there was 9 total, that it was over, man, you didn't even understand. Which now leads to the next thing. And this is important because I've been I don't want to say victim, that's too strong. But I've been in my adult life, whether young adult, 30s, 40s, even my 50s. And I understand part of that comes from my persona of doing what it is that I do, reacting to what's happening in sports, maybe even overreacting to a certain extent. And sometimes with life, although I try to keep it at an even keel, but when you get something thrown at you, maybe not swiftly, but unexpectedly, you kind of say to yourself, damn it. And therefore, this leads to my next thing. Throughout this whole process, dating back to last Monday, and even though when I came back last Tuesday and I expressed to my wife how I may have to be on this trial for the next 8 of the next 10 business days. And it's difficult because we do have a puppy, as you know. And although we have a sitter, but we're not going to bring her to the sitter for 8 straight days. I mean, we could have. She had brought her into work, my wife, a couple of days, this past Monday and the Monday prior. But it was a situation where she can't bring the dog to work. I mean, yeah, maybe once in a blue, like you bring your kid to work, that type of deal. But it was a situation where it was going to be tougher to bring her, let's say, if today she had to bring her, and then tomorrow, and then next week, although she works from home Tuesday and Friday, but Wednesday, Thursday. So it was the thing where it's like, well, hey, let's see what happens. I wasn't happy last Tuesday. And even when I got up Monday to have to go into jury duty and have to sit there to 4:30, and then yesterday on a rainy, dreary day, but again, just trying to stay in the moment, stay grounded, and just be grateful. And therefore, when the verdict came in that they settled, it made me think back to last Tuesday. And although I had my moment, more so internally, I'm not walking the streets saying, I can't believe this, or coming home and chewing out my wife's ear saying that, geez, I can't believe that this happened to me. And why they got to sit through this? And the timing is terrible. I'm trying to map out and plan out the rest of this year so I can go into 2026 through a brick wall with not only just with me personally and what's going on, but also with what it is that I'm doing with the live streams, with the podcast, with sponsors, with trying to get guests on live to be a part of these live streams. And not just the guys and gals who've hopped on board, as I mentioned earlier, the J-Rods, the Brents, the Bios, the Vals, etc. So, yeah, I want to have other podcast hosts, sports talk radio hosts, hopefully former or even current athletes, broadcasters, bloggers, studio hosts. I want them all. And to know that these days prior to yesterday was going to be sabotaged by jury duty. And I get it. It's the public's duty to fulfill that. And they were very grateful, the attorney saying, hey, we thank you. There's a lot of people that want to just avoid this and whatever, and I understand, and so on and so on. So obviously they were very gracious and showed a lot of, as you see there, not only they were grateful, but gratitude. And I appreciated that because it's easy for them to just dismiss us like, they're supposed to be in here, whatever. And I'll just spend a couple more minutes on this and that's it. I promise. I'll move on to sports. But I had to start off with this because this was something that was in the forefront, in the middle, and even in the back of my mind since last Monday because I'm a creature of habit. I've been pumping out podcasts Monday and Thursdays. I've been pumping out the live streams every Wednesday as well as the podcast pre-games. And all that factors into what I'm trying to build here. And to know that, yeah, there was a little bit of a curve where I didn't have the podcast last Monday, and because of the holiday last week, no podcast, which is fine. But then the podcast pregame, I had it on Friday. And then this week, I had my Monday podcast or Monday pregame live stream a little bit earlier, and I had to cut it off right before I went into the building. So all that being said, and my lesson and my takeaway from this was that I was able to hold it under wraps, not lash out, not waste any energy talking about something that hasn't fully happened yet. And let's say if I did do that, if I did complain, if I did bitch, moan, the system, why me, which I understand a lot of people can do and have done in their lives. But staying in the moment, being present, and at the same time just trying to play this out, that even yesterday, when we were dismissed, 10:45, we had to wait another half hour. We had to get paperwork and stuff just to show that we were at jury duty and we don't come back for another 6 years. So before I left, and even on my way home, I thought I brought lunch in. I brought my laptop because I figured the lunch hour, I'm going to work through it to reach out to the sponsors and to possible potential guests, all that, because I wasn't going to let this slow me down or stop me in any way, shape, or form. So I had the mindset going in. It's like, well, hey, whatever time I'm going to have, I'm going to make sure I capitalize. I'm going to make sure that I go in and do my due diligence to get stuff done, because the only thing that's going to stop me is me or a situation like this. And as it panned out, it's over. It's done. That's why I'm here now and not sitting on 161st Street in Grand Concourse in a juror's room or in a courtroom listening to the testimony of the defendant, of the plaintiff, etc. And it is my pleasure, as you well know, for those who have watched me since day one, since I've been doing these live streams dating back to February, how much I enjoy doing this, how much I enjoy the back and forth, the camaraderie, the community that was slowly but surely building. And that's why it's important for me to not only be present and to show up, because I'm not doing this from the seat of my pants. I'm not doing this like, oh, well, it's just a casual Wednesday. Hey, guys. No, this is clockwork. And when that gets upset, it's easy for anyone, not just me, to just be like, oh, well, I guess I'm not going to do it today. Why? No, nobody wants to hear that. All they want to hear is like, all right, we're going to see what happens here. I'm going to keep you guys posted. I'm going to keep you abreast of what's going on. And sure enough, I'm sure when you saw the video, one of the videos I put yesterday afternoon, I forgot which one it was, that I said, hey, or even this morning, guess what? There's going to be a live stream today. Oh, I put up a post, an actual type or text post about how I'm going to be back doing a live stream today, 12 noon. So therefore, I'm grateful. I'm thankful. And that's the lesson that I pull from this, because as much as we can look at things in life, and that can go for anything, whether, heaven forbid, you get into an accident or a situation came up that you obviously weren't expecting, and it's easy to be like, oh, I can't believe this, or oh, why me, or even as simple as going to run like I love to do. Let's say I plan to run tomorrow morning, 8 a.m., and let's see how the weather's going to be. Hopefully it's not that cold. Hopefully it doesn't rain. Well, guess what? It could be cold, as it has been, and it's going to get cold here in the Northeast. Or it may rain tomorrow morning. Well, guess what? It's raining. I can't go out. No. Guess what? Barring a blizzard, barring a hurricane, get my ass out there and do what I'm supposed to do. That's it. Because not every day is going to be, as I like to say, coconuts and palm trees. Not every day your life is going to be filled with rainbows, sunshine, glitter, confetti, and fireworks. There's going to be days where it's, hey, it's going to rain. It's going to snow. It's going to be windy. It's going to be ugly. It's not going to be pretty. And guess what? You still got to move on. You still got to live. You still got to deal with whatever's going to be thrown at you. And I understand sometimes it's difficult than others. And if you follow me on Instagram, I'm doing this little series, which as we get deeper into this month and obviously into the new year, it's dealing, coping, and managing seasonal depression. And last year it got to me because that was my first year, as you all know, doing this full time, not working in 9 to 5 anymore, pursuing this to the greatest and best of my ability. That was the first year that, yeah, I really felt that. You know, it's not like I'm going into the office, I'm traveling. No, I'm at home. It's cold. I don't want to go outside. I don't want to run. I don't want to do this. No, that's not happening this year. And moving forward, as long as the good Lord has me on his beautiful green earth. But all I have to say is this. Just don't let whatever that comes your way in your life, good, bad, or indifferent, don't let it stop you. Don't let it slow you down. Don't let it deter you from doing what you want to do. And I get it. Sometimes, as I hate to put it in this context, but the old saying, some days you're the windshield and the other days you're the bug. Okay. But you know what? A lot of that is here. And yes, there may be a day that, guess what? It's going to kick your ass and you're like, all right, you got me today. But tomorrow I'm coming up and I'm going to kick its ass. And that's the tack that we all have to take. So with that being said, I'm free. So you got me tomorrow. Podcast is going to be up normal time, 12:30. Podcast pregame, 9:30 a.m. I'm actually thinking about doing the podcast pregame through this platform. What do you guys and gals think? Leave a comment about that. I'll be curious to know. Instead of doing it through my phone. And sometimes I do it through my phone because, hey, maybe I'll get some subscribers that way, people that pop on board. And I have had organically some subscribers, whether they see me online, who's this Jay Reels guy? And they pop on, hey, all right, I like this guy. I'm going to subscribe. And that's the reason why I do it. But I may use the link in this platform to have my podcast pregame. So again, leave your thoughts. If you just rather have me just do it on my phone organically that way, fantastic. And not to make a decision, or I hate to use this term considering I'm talking about jury duty and verdicts and things of that nature, but not to say that I'm going to come to a verdict based on your responses, but I take that into consideration when it comes to what it is you have to say, because obviously, as I've said a million times, you guys are my bosses. You guys are my CEOs. So I got to make sure that I listen to what you guys have to say. Now, I may not implement it right away, or I may implement it right away, I may not. But you know that I certainly take your word to heart based on you carving out precious time to watch me, to listen to me, to follow me, etc. So with that being said, I'm free and I'll move on to other things. Let me get to the comments because I see I got 44 of them before I get to what we have here on the live stream. All right, let's see. Let's go back. All right, J-Rod, of course, is saying what's up to Bio. And I even made a comment prior to the start. You guys are the best, and you are. You know that. So, and Bio, it's going crappy week, Michigan football. I know that was a rough one there on Saturday. If you watched at Ann Arbor, of course, my guy J-Rod, the Michigan superfan, as you know. And I'm going to get to the college football in a little bit because you have the championship or conference championship weekend this weekend. And is it really going to mean much? I guess it will be for a couple of teams. The teams that are looking to get that 4th and 5th spot, the conference championship, and then you have BYU is trying to get into the back door if they win there on Saturday. But we'll touch on that. My Rams lost 2. Bad weekend of football for us is sure. Yeah, Rams. And listen, that East to West thing I look at is a factor. And I remember in week 2 when Seattle played in Pittsburgh and the coach, Mike McDonald, he mentioned that they arrived in Pittsburgh Friday because they wanted to get acclimated to the time difference, to being in the Eastern time zone and not getting there Saturday afternoon, acclimated, walk through, hotel, check in, whatever, dinner, curfew, etc. So I'm surprised a lot more teams do not implement that, especially whether it's going west-east or east-west for that matter. Because even though you gain the 3 hours, if you're, let's say, the Steelers and you're going to play the Chargers as they did a few weeks ago, where it's the other way around, where if you're leaving, let's say, L.A. that Saturday, and I'm sure you're probably leaving at 8 a.m. because you want to get to the East Coast mid-afternoon. Because, I mean, think about it. If you're leaving 8 a.m., and obviously they're flying charter, but it's 11 a.m. here, so if you're going to take the 5.5-hour flight from L.A. to, let's say, Carolina, maybe it's 5 hours, but that's 4 p.m. Eastern time by the time they land. And obviously, not only when they land, but of course they got to get off the plane. Obviously, they get on the bus, get to the hotel, get their room keys. I'm sure they do their walkthrough. I don't know if they go to the stadium first. I remember years ago, teams do go to the stadium just to kind of get their feel of the surroundings. So, yeah, all that factors in from a team that's losing those 3 hours coming east. And therefore, I don't want to pin that all on that's why the Rams lost. But Matthew Stafford by far had his worst game of the year. And Carolina obviously were up for the challenge, and they won the 31-28. Fishing Angel, good afternoon to you too. Did Michigan just get a 5-star wide receiver? Oh, they did? And that's another thing too, which is crazy about college sports because today is recruiting day, and they have to change that. Can I just say that right off the bat? Why is it today the National Recruit Day for the high school students that are going to choose which university that they're going to play in? Can they push that till maybe after the bowl season and maybe after the college football playoff? And I understand that, that's not going to be fair because the Alabamas, let's say the teams that do make it far to a semifinal, to a final, so they're going to get first picking on the top recruits depending on where they're going to come from after they just had a long playoff run or they've been in a mainstay in the college football playoff? Well, yeah, how about making it fair for everybody? And that's why this whole Lane Kiffin thing, him going to LSU, is a disaster. And we could talk about Lane Kiffin into a blue in the face, but with the way the rules are structured, that today's the National Recruit Day, and I believe in 2 weeks, that's when the transfer portal opens up. So wait a second. So now you're going to have all these players milling around to see, all right, well, I'm going to jump ship here, jump ship there. So in the case of Ole Miss, now they have a playoff game, so they're not going to leave the portal just yet, but I'm sure they may have their sights set on going to LSU once their season is over to say, well, you know what, I'm out. And I don't know the exact date of the transfer portal. I believe it's a couple of weeks from now, but it's a disgrace, and they got to fix that. That should be after January, whatever that the final is, the 16th or the 18th, whatever the national championship game is. That's like saying, and of course, it's a different sport and it's the pros, so obviously they're not going to have the same rules. But that's almost like, could you imagine in the NFL when the season is over and the teams that don't make the playoffs, now you have players saying, well, you know what? I'm going to declare being a free agent and I'm going to the Philadelphia Eagles next week. And they start to play the postseason. I mean, come on. They got to fix that. I mean, that's, to me, I can't stand that. Oh, yeah, we know about staying grounded. Bio, my UCLA Bruins list to USC, so I'm hurting too. Lost to USC. Yeah, I know. That was, I'm sure anytime that the Bruins lose to the Trojans, that's certainly not a good day and not a good moment in the household there for you, Bio, for sure. How do you feel about your new coach? Yeah, I know there's been a lot of coaches. I know Lane Kiffin's been the big story, but we know the Tulane coach to Florida. And, yeah, I could talk about that till I'm blue in the face, but I will pass for that. Yes, Fishing Angel, we did mention good afternoon. I know I'm all over the map here with the comments, so my apologies. I'm excited about Bob Chesney. Seems like a good coach. Yes. But I was telling Jay if Moore doesn't get into Michigan playoffs next season, he gets fired. And, yeah, I could see that. Oh, Fishing Angel, no, not a smoothie. Yeah, and maybe next week I'll do a smoothie. This is H2O. I know there's some bubbles in there, but no, it's not seltzer. I'm not a seltzer guy. Although I will say this. Can I share this with you guys and gals? And maybe I'll do that next week. If you don't drink soda, and mind you, I do have a soda brand that is one that I partnered up with. Now, they're not a sponsor. Sponsor means that they're paying me money, where a partnership means that I get a percentage of whatever it is that's sold. And I guess maybe now's the time to talk about that. If anybody knows Olipop Soda, OLIPOP. In fact, hold on a second. Hang on. Oh, now Kish is thinking that. No. Relax. It's okay. Right here. Anybody know this soda brand? Can you see that? Olipop. I guess this is my time to plug it real quick. This soda is one of the few that I drink, only because it's 50 calories per serving, or depending on the soda that you get. This one's 50. Some you got 25, some are 30. But it's non-GMO, meaning that there are no genetically modified ingredients, so you're not going to see the high fructose corn syrups and all the nonsense that you see in the regular sodas. And not only that, but it's also has prebiotic, which is good for your gut. And not only that, but it's paleo, vegan. It's better for you. I'm not going to say it's 100% healthy, because if you're going to do that, might as well just crack open a coconut like I've done in the past, or juice your own beverage. But the reason why I bring this up, Olipop, if you go to drinkolipop.com, you'll save 15% off your order by using the promo code JREELS. That's right, JAYREELZ. Drinkolipop.com. They also have an assortment. So even if you look at some of the flavors, and they have good flavors. They have your classic. There's a cream soda, which is classic. They do have ginger ale. They have lemon lime. They have vintage cola. They have a cherry cola. They have watermelon lime. They have a banana cream. They have a strawberry vanilla, cherry vanilla. They have many flavors, but you can get an assortment pack. So just in case, if you don't want to put all your order into one flavor, if you want to try a few of them, you could do that. So again, drinkolipop.com. Save 15% off your order by using the promo code JREELS at checkout. So I bring all this up is because there is a way to make your own soda, which is fantastic. And I do this from time to time as a healthier brand. If you take seltzer and you take a lemon, you take a lime. So you're making your own version of Sprite. So you squeeze a lemon, squeeze lime, make sure you take the seeds out. And then what I use, you could use maple syrup as a sweetener. You could use regular sugar, but yeah, it doesn't really mix well in that. What I use is agave syrup. It's usually organic, one ingredient. You're not using any fructose corn syrup nonsense. And I just mix that up or stir it up, and it tastes just like a Sprite. So again, lemon, lime, seltzer, and some agave syrup. And that's it. And you could use sugar. You want to use brown sugar or table sugar. Or even maple syrup. But if you're going to use maple syrup, use just maple syrup. Don't use the log cabin, sugar-free. I mean, it has a million ingredients. You don't want to eat that stuff. I mean, that's just it's not good for you. So just get regular, pure maple syrup. You can get organic, which is better. But if you get the only ingredient, one, pure maple syrup, that's it. And I know this is not maple syrup, but you know where I'm coming from. Let me put this back here because then this is going to get warm. So hold on to your hats there, people, one more time. As the dog gets up. So that's what you got there. So that's your beverage. All right. I appreciate you listening. Yeah, drinklollipop.com. Also got a couple other partnerships too, which I'll talk about in the weeks to come as we head, especially with Christmas coming up. I should put that up maybe next week for sure because Christmas is coming. And before you know it, if you don't or need a last minute gift, I think I got the right one for you. Or if not, go to drinklollipop.com. You can use that as a mixer into your cocktails, or you want a better alternative than the regular brands that you used to drinking. I mean, think about this. That Olipop right there, they have 5 grams of sugar per serving, which is 1 teaspoon. Those regular brands, so let's say the vintage cola on Drink Olipop, and I promise I'll pivot from here. The Drink Olipop, the vintage cola, 5 grams, 1 teaspoon. A regular cola, and I don't want to shout out those cola brands. I don't want to slander them, but you know which ones I'm talking about. They have up to 39 grams of sugar in those suckers, which is, do the math. Every teaspoon is 4 grams. 4 into 39. I mean, that's almost 10 teaspoons of sugar in one can. Is that what you want in your system? Absolutely not. So drinklollipop.com, that's the reason why I partner with them, because their soda's good. It tastes great. Obviously, you got to be the judge of that. I'm only going to promote products that I like, that I endorse, and hopefully that's one you'll check out as we move it along. Alyssa loves the DJ. Alyssa, how you doing? Who's the loser? Are you referring that to me? That's not nice. You don't even know me. If you're still on, I don't even know. If you're still on, that's great. I appreciate it. Welcome aboard. Maybe you're talking about Bob Chesney or maybe Sharon Moore. I don't know, but okay. I give him the biggest settlement possible, but that's just me. I fell and got hurt at work, so I get that situation. Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's the thing. They couldn't announce what the settlement was. And despite his testimony being a little sketchy, like, I didn't remember when I got surgery. I was like, what? So I'm sure he was asking for the sun, moon, and stars, and maybe he only got the sun or just the moon or the sun and the moon. I don't know. So they couldn't reveal that yesterday once they closed. So let's see what we got here. Start an hour, something like that. I can't speak for everyone, but I can speak for myself. I would donate without hesitation. Start our son. All right. I just always start an hour something. All right. You probably wrote something else. Hold on. Oh, Patreon. You know what, Jay? I do have a Patreon. I haven't really plugged it that much. And it's funny you say that because it's been on standby for years. And I do have it. And you know what? I'll plug it toward the end of the year. And I appreciate that coming from you, because I know you've been generous with your time and everything and what you've shared with me over the last few months. I will post that by the end of the year. And obviously for the Patreon, that is going to be exclusive. I'll have exclusive content. So what you'll see on there, you're not going to see on the channel or whatever. That I'm just going to do. You'll see. And as we get closer to the end of the year, I will reveal more on that. So I appreciate that, Jay. Thank you so much. I mean, what more can I say? I'm humbled by that. So thank you. Let's see. Yes, Fishing Angel. I had a good Thanksgiving with the in-laws. Ate to my heart's content. Didn't watch as much football as I wanted to because, yeah, and that's the thing too. I get it. Not everybody's going to sit in front of a TV, especially when family's over. But where I went to my sister-in-law, there were a few kids there, and they were watching like Peppa Pig and stuff on YouTube. And I'm like, oh, geez, can we just turn on the game instead? But they didn't do so. I had to, be a good sport. I had a nice day until I got bad news. Oh, no. And I'm sure you probably comment on that. Nice Thanksgiving, bad news. I want to know. How much did I make from jury duty? I think it's $26 a day here in Michigan. Well, it's funny you say that, Jay, because in New York State, it was $40 a day until June, I think, like 5th or whatever. And now it's $72, which, yeah, I was surprised. So it went, wow, $26, huh? They should give you more than that. It was 40, but now it's $72. So for those who are unemployed and go to jury duty, so I did the 4 days to that last week or 2 this week. And listen, hey, I'm not going to thumb my nose up at money that obviously, as you well know, not earning, I'll take it. So, and who knows? I got to go get my car to get serviced. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but who knows? If there is, I could put it toward that. Hopefully that's not the case. I'll keep my fingers crossed. And so that's how much I made there. So if you do the math, 72 times 4 is 72, 4, 8, $288. But I'm sure it's going to get taxed. So Tatsuya, my man, what's happening? Congrats, I'm free. Yes. Popo can't keep you locked up. No, definitely not. Oh, geez. Val, saying hello to Fishing Angel. He likes this live. Val, I appreciate you out on the West Coast or Bay Area where we did have, of course, another West Coaster here in Bio, who's, of course, in Southern California. Tatsu, yes, it wasn't as bad as the scoreboard said. Michigan had shots to make it a game, second half. Laid an egg. Yeah, that was a tough one. Definitely was. Bio, I had jury duty 6 months ago. I was there all day and was dismissed at the end of the day because I wasn't needed. Great feeling. Oh, man, good for you. Yeah, I was hoping that was going to be the case for me last week because Monday they didn't call my name. Tuesday, as I mentioned earlier, they didn't call until I guess it was like 11:40-ish. And when they did, I was like, all right. And we went to the courtroom, and then I told you the whole story. And, yeah, the rest is history. Saw the Wolverines Iowa State game. Michigan took no chances. I tried something to play too safe. It's funny you say that, Tatsuya, because I didn't mention this. I know on their opening drive, and especially after they got the pick from saying, they needed touchdowns on those drives. And listen, I understand not every drive is going to be a touchdown drive, but once they got that pick at 3-0, and I thought, and it was deep in their Ohio State territory, I thought to myself, if they get 6 here, Ohio State was going to play tight. Kick the field goal there. All right, they're going to live with that. And then they got the field goal to make it 6-3, and then the touchdown, which I know Jeremiah Smith, that was a little controversial, but obviously it was their afternoon. So Tatsu, as soon as Jordan Marshall got hurt, went out. Yeah, I know we talked about that. Yeah, that was tough. They've been playing like that all season, and Bryce, and obviously Bryce didn't play well in the game, as we know. Yeah, and I like that too, Bio. It's funny you say that because the cameraman, he had the best shot, and I loved it. It was almost cinematic because remember, it was snowing. The game was over, and if you recall last year, for those who aren't aware, when Michigan won in Columbus last year, they planted the flag, and that caused a ruckus, as you know, where this year, I could envision the shot there by the cameraman. They had the Ohio State team where all the Ohio State fans came down right there to the front row, and you had a lot of the Ohio State team sitting up on the railing, almost waiting, where you see the Michigan players on the field surrounding midfield, and all you see, it's almost like a scene out of like Braveheart or Gladiator. If you watched, you see the Michigan players, all you see is the helmet and shoulder pads like standing there saying, yeah, come at us. And then you see the Ohio State players on the wall there behind their bench. And they stood there. And you know what? Kudos to the Wolverine players, because if I was them, I would have stayed there till midnight until that stadium was cleared in order for one of those players to not plant the Buckeye flag on there. So I love that. That was good for Michigan in that regard. But again, that's a moral victory. But that's one you take because the last thing you want to see is Ohio State doing that. And I'm sure if Jay was in the crowd, he probably would have ran onto the field and tackled one of those Ohio State players. So the block M is the only thing they protected by. Yeah. That was it. After last season, it didn't matter what happened. There was no flag planting happening. Yeah, absolutely. Michigan's youngest team in the Big Ten. Michigan Super Fan did better this season than I thought. Yeah, no, they were 9-3. So, yes, I am free. I know I'm catching up on all these comments here. I think I'm almost at the bottom. Yeah, Pat Fitzgerald to Michigan State. Yeah, that was for sure. Zip. So, Jay, now that Keith has left the overnights on FAN, time for you to put your name. Yes. Well, it's funny you say that because I haven't reached out to Keith just yet, but I know that his schedule's opened up, and I'm going to see if I can try to get him on live in a future Wednesday. And if that's going to be the case, maybe, I don't know if early next week, maybe 2 weeks from now, I hope to get him on. I know he's been doing his own live streams, and maybe he can answer some of these questions. But if you've watched, and I understand this is more of a local thing, but Zip, now that you're here, real quick. Tatsuya, I see your comment next. Yes, we'll talk about that. What is happening here is with McPherson leaving, and I'm sure you saw Craig Carton's coming back, And I've never been a fan of Craig Carton. I'm sorry. And I understand the guy's made a name for himself and went to Syracuse. We know his whole story. I'm not going to unpack that. But he's coming back to the drive time afternoon slot. And he's going to be with, they're saying Chris McMonagle, who I believe, didn't he work with Keith McPherson in the evening slot, 7 to midnight? So with Carton, I believe it's starting next year. I guess what, January 5th? Carton McMonagle from 2 to 6, where Evan and Tiki Barber, they're going to go 10 to 2, which knocks out Brandon Tierney and Sal Licata. And I believe the word on the street is that Sal Licata is going to take the 7 p.m. slot. And Tierney's out. So I understand for those outside of New York, you're probably saying, well, what the hell is J Reels talking about? Yeah, this is just based on what Zip posted here. Keith McPherson is a guy who I've had on my podcast dating back a year ago. If you follow me on Instagram, I bumped into him outside Yankee Stadium before game 1 of the wild card round against the Red Sox. I took a photo with him. And he's a very good he's a very good talk show host, has a good platform, big platform, real good guy. And I'm going to see if I can get him on here. And maybe if not next week, maybe the following, if I could pin him down, because I know he's busy doing his own thing. And he actually pivoted because he's been a nighttime host on the local WFAN 660 AM and 1019 on FM. He pivoted because he wanted to spend more time with family and do his own thing. And that I admire big time, coming from yours truly, doing what it is that I do. So that's the only reason why I bring this up now. So if you're wondering, who's this Craig Carton, McMonagle, Brandon Tierney, Salick, I don't know these people. What is he talking about? I appreciate you just listening for those few moments. Yes, I did see that last night. They played on NBC. Jaylen Brown, 42 points. All right, I'll take it. Absolutely. So, Kat, don't need to shout every syllable. Just shows my insecurity. Well, what are you talking about, Kat? This is how I speak. This is how I do my podcast or my live stream. I'm not trying to scream and yell. I'm not trying to pull a Stephen A. This is just me. And I'm insecure. I got news for you. This is the last person. And I shouldn't even say, because if I say it, then it's all, this is just showing my insecurity. But please, my people can vouch. This is me. And transparent, hand raised high in the air. So that's just how I talk. If I'm being too loud, maybe I'll push the microphone away. How about that? Is that better? But yeah, this is my normal voice. This is how I speak. And maybe I do need to tone it down, have my inside voice, considering I have neighbors around me. But this is how I speak. So insecurity, it doesn't show that, Kat. But all right, I'll listen to what you have to say. It's all right. It's all good. Michigan has 8 home games and 4 road games next season. Yes. Oh, no, exactly. Yeah, Jaylen Brown, he's played well this year, and obviously he's going to be the one that's going to lead this team. So Michigan needs a QB. That timeout actually will not cut it. Yeah, I'm not going to base it. I haven't watched Bryce Underwood. Now, that was the first game I watched, and obviously he was not good in the game. But I could see them maybe, and Jay would know better than this, should they recruit a quarterback? I would think they should. If you get a chance to see Bob Tessie interview after you sign with UCLA. Interesting. Yeah, I haven't seen that press conference. Unlike Lane Kiffin. Oh, I put it in God's hands. I asked God. Come on. We knew you were leaving. Stop. Yeah, I got to check that out. I'm sure it's on YouTube, right? I got to find that. Richard Brooks. Good to see you on here. I appreciate it. I hope you're still on with me here. What about the Mets? What do you want me to say? Should I cut to this now? I mean, I haven't even got to the NFL, and I guess I'll get to all that. But obviously the comments are important right now. So, Rich, I hope you're still on with me. What about the Mets? Let's get to it. Devin Williams. Why David Stearns is enamored with former Yankee pitchers. And I get it that he had Devin Williams in Milwaukee when he was the vice president of baseball ops for the Brewers. I know that there's a fallback in case they don't re-sign Edwin Diaz, and even though there were talks about maybe they still want Diaz back, yada, 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 and Diaz wants another 5-year, $100 million deal. Diaz is 32 years old. that contract, unless there's another opt-out in there, just like you got this one here, where he opted out after the third year, unless there's an opt-out, I'm not paying him $100 million 5 years. I'm not doing it. I'll pay him 3 years, $75 million, and even that is a little bit too rich for my blood. But he is Steve Cohen, and there is no salary cap in baseball. Mind you, we're now less than a year away from the collective bargaining agreement. I should have put that up as a short, too. The CBA expires December 1st of next year, so the clock is now ticking. I did not like the Devin Williams signing. If he's your closer, listen, as a Mets fan, you got to live with it. And yes, is he better than a lot of people? Yes, but can he pitch in this town? We saw what he did last year. His ERA was 4.79. And I don't want to hear about whiff rates, and I don't want to hear about bloated ERA, inflated numbers. No. Eye test, baby. That's what it all boils down to. And I don't know. He's going from a fan base that played in the World Series last year, that obviously fell way short of that this year, to not to say that this is a better fan base. I'm not saying that. So for the Yankee fan that's out there, don't think, oh, what is Jay Reels trying to say? A more rabid fan base, because they have not won a World Series in 4 decades, 40 years, going on 40 years next year. So they are hungrier, thirstier, and rabid. That's not to say the Yankee fan isn't rabid. I'm not saying that. But because they have not won in a million years, and it's been a decade since they've been to a World Series, and now you bring in this guy that's going to close your games? I get it. 3 years, $51 million. It's not a ton of money, especially for Steve Cohen. But I would have done whatever it took to bring Diaz back. And not 5 for 100. I get it. But say, hey, I'll give you 3 years guaranteed till you're 35 years old. All right, maybe not $75 million. How about $66 million? $22 million for a closer a year? Josh Hader doesn't have that. Josh Hader came close to getting Edwin Diaz's contract when he signed with the Astros. And he's had his moments, but he's done nothing since he's been in Houston. So for the Nimmo trade, that didn't bother me. And I understand, I talked about this last week, but just for you, Rich, if you're still on, I hope you're still on with me. I know I got to go through more of the comments, but for the Nimmo trade, I liked it. 2 reasons. One, you don't have to worry about 5 more years with Nimmo playing a left field where, let's face it, he's starting to break down, and he does not have a good arm out there. And I understand he's a great guy to have on your team, a guy that is unassuming, leadership, the whole 9. I get it. But you bring back a guy who's going to bring Gold Glove defense at second. I know his numbers are declining, and I get it that he's 35 years of age. But the other thing that he brings in my eyes is a guy that's won a World Series. He's not going to go in there and be a rah-rah guy and start knocking things over. I understand that. But you bring in a guy that knows how to win. He won a World Series in Texas 2 years ago. And he can hit. I understand his numbers have fallen off, but maybe just a new sense of purpose or refound, I don't want to say love for the game, but right, he knows, I'm sure he knows what he's getting into coming to this town. And with the defense with him and Lindor, and not to say Lindor's going to get any better because he's going to start to slow down at some point, but I like the deal. And Simeon's deal is over in 3 years, where 3 years from now, you just got to pay Nimmo $40 more million for 2 years after that, and who knows what you're going to get from Nimmo at that point. And that's why I like the deal. Yes, Olipop. You got it, Tatsuya. On top of it, I love it. We have it here at Stater Brothers Supermarket, California. Nice. No, and it's good. I like it. Olipop, yes. I got you, bio. I never drink soda without ice cream. Oh, is that right? You like your ice cream floats? Careful, Coke has a hit squad. Oh, listen, Coke, I'm not looking for any smoke. So, but, oh, geez. Oh, I'm sorry to hear. Oh, just to read that, Fishing Angel. Is that right? I don't even want to even bring that up or even talk about that. I mean, how are you, first and foremost? and your family for that matter. I see a familiar face in here. My guy, Jai. Where is it? Jai, I don't know if you're still with me. What is good? It's good that I'm here. First and foremost, I'm free. But yeah, I mean, I'm here with you guys and gals. And I hope you're still on here because I know I'm still going through these comments and I haven't even talked NFL or anything like that just yet. So if you could bear with me, I appreciate that. But Jai, I appreciate you. But Fishing Angel, oh, geez, I'm so sorry. I know you hear the whole thoughts, prayers, everything, but I just hope that your family going through this tough time that, geez. I know, and the thing is, I'm curious. I have so many questions, but I don't even know what to say. I'm sorry for you and your family, your loss or losses. All right, how do I pick up the pieces and move on from here? Let's see. Should the Mets trade for the Rockies, Brenton Doyle, and bet on a comeback season? Well, I don't know. Aren't they going to? They're thinking about using that kid. What's his name? Carson Benj, maybe to be your starting center fielder. And you're not going to give up a lot for him. And Doyle, I know I've seen him play a little bit. Not that I'm watching Rocky baseball on a day-to-day basis. What's his contract? Let me see what he's got. Because if he's a guy that's not getting paid that much, Brenton Doyle, I will take him. 233, 1557. That was his deal, his numbers last year. So he's going into an arbitration eligible year. And he's had 2 Gold Gloves. And listen, that's a guy, you look at his numbers. Now, remember, he does play in Colorado, so those numbers could be inflated. He's a lifetime 235 hitter, 2 Gold Gloves in his back pocket. Listen, he's not going to cost a ton. So if they can't get a center fielder here over the next few weeks, considering that the winter meetings start on Sunday, then yeah, I would consider it. Why not? What's this? I just seen K to the White Sox, 12 million to K. Wait a second. Hold on. Let me see. K. When you say that there, why isn't the name coming up? No, I don't want that page. Get it out of here. Oh, CP3 Lou weren't on speaking terms. That's what happened there. Yeah, I was going to get to that too later on. I'm wondering who you're referring to there, Jay. Angels agree with Alek Manoah, the former Blue Jay pitcher. I don't know who. Rockies to hire vice president, Dodgers VP, Josh Burns is GM. All right. Now they can only pluck some of those players over there. Yeah, I don't know who you're referring to. I'm actually going to MLB.com. I don't see anything as of yet regarding that deal. Let me see. Hold on a second. I know I see K. I think Michael K, but I know it's not Michael K. Let's see. Former Yank, now Red Sox. Righty has no love for Bombers. Oh, that's Sonny Gray. Big whoop. Yeah, I don't know. Please, you got to expound on that one, Jay, because I don't know why. For some reason, it's not that person's name's not coming up. I've seen K to the White Sox, 2 million. All right. Why Mets can't resist it? Oh, please. Yeah, and watch. They're going to probably sign Cody Bellinger in the process, or at least make an attempt to. Definitely not a Carton fan, not a Licata fan either. He became a wannabe Francesa. Would love if a fan gave you a shot. Listen, if they gave me a shot, I don't know. I guess is that maybe I got to go to their website to see whether or not that job is open. Because I would throw my hat in the ring. What the hell? Why not? The thing is, then I got to focus on New York sports. I love doing the national, and not that I would stop doing that, but yeah. Yeah, I know Licata, and it's funny. I had him on my podcast. Ooh, he was like the first ever guest, if you remember back to the anniversary podcast or anniversary live stream. Yeah, I listen. Yeah, I know Licata's a bit of a loudmouth. I guess we all are in some respects, but yeah, Licata comes out and says some crazy things sometimes. I'm the same way. Get me talking about fishing or sports, I'm the same way, yeah. Oh, I hear that, Jay. Most definitely. Mets go out to Duran Duran for Boston at a center fielder. Bio, you know what? I like that, but here is the issue I have with that. Duran has had, and mind you, plays in Boston, so it's not as if he's not playing in a baseball hotbed, but he has made some comments that I don't know how that would fly with the fan base. And I haven't taken the temperature of the Red Sox fan, how they feel about Duran. And I understand you could try to separate the player from the person at times. But, yeah, he has had a sketchy past with things that he said about groups of people. And listen, I'm not the morality police, as you know. But how that's going to fly in New York, I don't know. And listen, he's had his own issues that he's had to overcome as far as mental health goes. And if you watch that Netflix documentary on the Red Sox, I believe it was the 2024 Red Sox, he revealed a few things that I never knew about. And it's got to be tough for any athlete to manage and deal. Listen, we just saw this kid, Marshawn Nealon, take his own life. And I'm sure he had his own mental health issues. I know my nose is itching again. I don't know why. And again, I promise you it's not drugs. But that's the only thing I'd be worried about. And because, again, the Red Sox fan base is no joke, but at least they've won World Series this century. Where if Duran doesn't produce, and the boo birds, and you get people saying things toward them, you should have done this or done that, to yourself. Yeah, that could be ugly. And that's stupid. No fan should make it personal toward a player. All right, you're going to say you suck or, go home or whatever. Okay, fine. But when they really make it personal, it's like, come on, guys, really? You do better than that. Michigan need a quarterback. They need help for the quarterback to have wide receiver. Yeah, all right. No, I can see that. And you know better than me. But I'm just wondering if there was that one kid, Jared Curtis, I don't know if you saw, he was going to go to Georgia, but then he ended up going to Vanderbilt. Like if a guy like that who was a 5-star recruit, if he was going to go to Michigan, would you say, we got Bryce Underwood? Or would you say, no, let's see what this Jared Curtis kid has to offer? So, you see Taylor about? Yes, I did see that. No, I know he had a big game, and they had a big fourth quarter too, and they came all the way back, and they fell short. I know Anthony Edwards killed him with a dagger 3 there late. Yeah, that was a game on Saturday. I was actually at my in-laws' house watching that. And I only watched the tail end of it because, having dinner and we're bouncing around the channels. I'm like, hey, can I watch this? So that's the only reason why I saw that. But, yeah, no, he's played well here. Absolutely. If Stearns, Williams, and Diaz are playing, oh, no. And Zip, you're speaking my language. Disaster. No, he is. And that's the funny thing. You say that, Bio, watch the Dodgers make a play for him. I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, seriously? Why not? Isn't that right on cue? Tatsuya said it. Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked. Well, I mean, where's he going? Red Sox have a closer. Yankees, I have David Bednar, but, I mean, would they go after Diaz? I guess they could, but Hal Steinbrenner, he's pitching pennies. I mean, I could post interviews that he's had where, George is rolling in his grave, his own dad. Phillies not going. They got Joan Duran. One thing I heard of recently, here's for you, Tatsuya, and for Richard, if you're still on. This thing with Alonso, now I know the Red Sox could be hot for him, and I know he can't play first base, and I wouldn't want him at first base, but because they don't have a bona fide DH, how about Schwarber on the Mets? Man, Schwarber, oh, geez. I'd pick him up in Philadelphia and drive him to New York if that's the case. And it's just too bad that he's such a terrible fielder that you can't even put him at first base. I think Alonso's Keith Hernandez next to Kyle Schwarber when it comes to playing first base. And I don't want to diss Kyle Schwarber, but you can't argue his bat. I mean, that guy could hit home runs out of Yellowstone. So who knows? And I understand, what is he, 32 years of age? You sign him 3 years. 3 years, $75 million. Why not? Left-handed bat. Nimmo's gone, so you bring a left-handed bat in. Lindor's a switch hitter. And put it this way. I got it right here. Lindor, Soto. I guess if you're going to keep Vientos at third, right-handed bat, have him bat third, Schwarber fourth. Vientos would have a monster year. I mean, think about it. You put Vientos batting third. I understand he's not a prototypical third hitter. He's a good hitter, but you have Soto and Schwarber protecting you. He should hit 35 home runs in his sleep next year. Let's get to it, David Stearns. Come on. Oh, Jai, you're still here. Thank you. I appreciate it. I know I'm going to get to the football too. And I know you like baseball. And listen, let me ask you this, Jai. Ryan Helsley, how do you feel about that? Oh, please. I just like I said about Schwarber, I'd take Helsley and I'd drive him down I-95 and drop him off at Camden Yards. I hated that trade. Then we'll save $17 in taxes. So $17, $17 million. Yeah, because now he's going to play in Texas. So, yeah, good for him. I can see Dodgers going after Robert Suarez from San Diego. Ooh, that would be, that would be a needle into the Padres fans, that's for sure. Fishing Angel, our family's praying every day, but I can't really talk about it. It's under investigation. No, I understand. No, my prayers go out to you and your family too. That's just, oh, goodness. And then on Thanksgiving, man. Yes, condolences, Zip. Absolutely, 100%. Suarez threw at Ohtani at the end of the season. Oh, I remember that. Yes. Oh, Anthony K. Is he still in baseball? Yeah, Anthony K, the left-handed pitcher who a lot of people thought was going to be good, and he got traded for Marcus Stroman. I'll never forget. I was going into the movie theater to go see Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and when I saw that trade come down on my phone, I said, let's get Marcus Stroman? I'm like, wow. And this was what, 2019? Yeah, because Stroman didn't pitch in the COVID year, and then he pitched in 2021 a few games, and then he was gone. He went to Chicago, Yankees, and now he's out of baseball. Matter of fact, maybe I should reach out to him to see if he could be a guest. He's a Long Island kid, too. It's hard. I've been praying every day, and things are looking better. But like I said, I can't really talk about it. No, I understand. Yes, I can't even – I could put like 1,000 of those prayer emojis. Oh, geez. My heart goes out to you there, Fishing Angel. I mean that sincerely. Anthony K. spent the past 2 years pitching in Japan. Oh, so he did. So, Jay, thanks for that. And I could have thought Anthony K., but I was for whatever reason, my mind was blank. So, that's who. Oh, Jai, I love your next comment. I'll get to that in a second. 2 years, $12 million. All right, so Anthony K., I don't know how. Listen, he's signed with the White Sox, and they need pitching in the worst way. Those two bull jackasses on everybody's thing, I'm better than them. Yes, we all are, especially Sal, Talent Attack. I'm out the floor. You tell him, Jai. You tell him. Yeah, it's funny. I don't mind Tierney as much. Sal. You know what it is? I'm not trying to say that these guys aren't authentic, but I just get the sense that for them to be over the top and even to be pompous to a certain degree, especially Sal on Twitter. If you follow him on Twitter, he's even worse. He comes out with the most outrageous things. And I get it. It's rage bait stuff, which I'm not with that. You know me. I'm not with that stuff. And yeah, some of the stuff is just over the top when you see the clips. He's just sitting like, ah! It's just like, seriously? I know I could get like that too, but that's more passion. And yeah, I understand I could be loud, but I'm just loud by nature. But I'm not going to manufacture an emotion just for the hell of it. I'm not going to do that. And that's why Stephen A. and even guys like Sal and yeah, it's too much. Nobody wants that. Jai, I'm with you. You and I should have a show. Oh, we'd be awesome. Because then you and I have the young and the old. I know they have the old man and the three. Jai, you and I are right here, buddy. You know that. Yes, I saw about Eldon Campbell. Yeah, Eldon Campbell was a power forward, number 41. Good player, complimentary player. Then he went to Charlotte. He bounced around after that. They didn't announce the cause of his death. As my dog is ready to bark. Yeah, that's sad. So many deaths here in sports over the last few weeks. Oh, geez. I mean, you can't even. And I'm sure, speaking of Eldon Campbell, I see Bio's up next. Kismet. Bio knows Eldon way too well. Yes, rest in peace. Absolutely. I'll take the trumpet man in Baltimore. Bring him to 410. Yes. Tommy Trumpets. And they should be able to afford him, considering. I think that'd be a great spot for Diaz. Why not? Bio to the Rangers. They could use a closer also. Why not? And he has a lot of suitors, but those are going to be the teams that are going to go after him. I know I mentioned no Philly. Yeah, Baltimore, Texas could sure do so. Obviously, Dodgers could. Red Sox won't. Yankees, they could, but they won't. Mets. Kismet. Can we stop here, please? No, you see something at the window there, but I don't know. I'm trying to look to see if there's, I don't know, maybe somebody in a fire escape. But Schwarber on the Mets would be crazy. He would definitely replace Pete Alonso. Wow, without question. I love all the comments, people. I appreciate it. If those are with torches, oh no. Yeah, I made a video post. What was it? About 6 weeks ago, I said that it was more important for the Mets to sign Diaz than Alonso, and they may not have both of those guys. I didn't think that was going to happen. Jeez. Yeah, I think, and to me, as bad as Alonso, and I know you need those power numbers, but you put Schwarber there and you forget about Alonso. But Diaz, and listen, I'm not trying to make Diaz out to be Mariano Rivera, but yeah, when Diaz is on, he's unhittable. And as you can tell, here's the thing that you love more about Diaz. If his strikeout rate was going down, then you'd have a problem. That means his velocity and his sliders just being hung all over the place, which we've seen, especially in those first couple of years in a Met uniform. But because he has swing and miss stuff, that's what you want in a closer. You don't want a guy that's going to ask. As a matter of fact, ask Kyle Schwarber about Edwin Diaz. If I pulled up his numbers right now, I think Schwarber lifetime against Diaz is 0 for 12 with 10 strikeouts. I mean, case closed. Wow, Michigan plays UCLA next season at UCLA. Oh, that'd be nice. Yeah, he's not Diaz. Hope that 25 was a fluke. Yeah, Helsley you're talking about. Oh, I know Helsley. Oh, God, he was this. All right, let me go through these comments a little bit faster because weird watching on YouTube. I can't see anyone's comments. Oh, is that right? They're not to the right? You don't see them? Oh, geez, now I'm curious. Now, the thing is, if you're wondering, I have the two formats because it also has the portrait if you're watching on YouTube at home. Oh, that's why. If you're watching, are you watching on your TV, I guess? If you're watching on YouTube, and I don't even know what that's like, maybe I have to go back and replay that on my TV. I've never done that. But yeah, the good thing is they have the two formats. So if you're watching on your phone, it's in portrait mode, or you can watch it in landscape mode either way. Then you have to turn your phone around. So that's what I like about the new feature. But interesting you say that there, Zip, because if you're watching on YouTube, I guess maybe if you're watching on your phone, shouldn't the comments be on the side? Maybe on the TV it's different, but interesting. Wow. Or maybe do I have to, I don't know. No, I guess that's interesting. I got to look into that. Jay spent 70 minutes reading our comments. This show's going to be 3 hours long. All right, Tatsuya, I'll get to the sports here. Tatsuya, that's a good one. No, listen, I love the comments. This is what it's all about. Sal's not a natural, yeah, force. Yeah, I agree with you, Jai, 100%. All right, I'll finish these comments. Let me get through this real quick. Hold on a second. Wow, bring Jay with me. Got to get him to a college football game next season. It's on my must-do. Yeah, he's trying to get me to do that for sure, and I'm all in on that. What about your wife? I would love to go. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Fishing Angel. She's not here, but I'll certainly be able to include her as well. Kismet is mad about Diaz, too. I guess that's probably what it is. UCLA plays in Michigan next year, J-Rob. Maybe we need to do the road trip. Listen, if that's the case, we should do that. If Michigan is at UCLA, whenever the date comes out, I'll have to make it happen. Okay, I read it wrong. That's my bad. Come to Michigan. We'll also get Bio. Oh, yes, because Bio, just so you know, he had wanted me to go out to the Ohio State game. And obviously, because of my situation, whatever, we were unable to do so. But next year, I said, no, for sure. We'll try to do it September, early on, where the weather's warm. Because Ohio State, obviously, the Michigan game is in Ohio State next year or at Columbus. So, yeah, let's keep that in mind. On the phone. Oh, okay, so you're watching on the phone. Bio sounds like a plan. Awesome. Watching UCLA play in a big house would be amazing. Yeah. Wait a minute. So that game is in. So UCLA at Michigan? Oh, no, that'd be great. Oh, if we could all go. It's happening next season. J. Will's going to a college football game, and I told him to kidnap him. Oh, yeah, he did. Close to kidnapping. We don't want to get what's going in trouble. I need Diaz, Tucker, Valdez, Michael King, and Orange and Black. Ooh, that would be Diaz, Tucker, Valdez. And your ownership should do that. They listen, come on. The Blue Jays signed Dylan Cease, which was $210 million, please. Yes, I agree with you, Jai. 1,000%. Oh, and Schwarber too. Yes. You get that, and then your team is set for next year. Because you'll get your ace, you'll get your right fielder, you'll get your closer, you get a starter, and why not? Everybody else is breaking the bank. Now all of a sudden you got the Peter Angelos. I guess they still haven't fumigated the place because they still have the stench from Peter Angelos and his son when they ran the team. But I've ever been to the big house? I got to make it there. UCLA and Michigan 2026. Bio, he means it. So let's go. Down for hey Zip. Hey Bio, can we get another? I know Zip personally, and he's a guy who lives on the other side of the bridge from where I live. So, what do you think? That's the game plan. Bio, J-Rod, Fisher Game, J-Rose Life. It's happening. They also are throwing Zip there too. I've never J-Rod, never been to Michigan either, and I've never been to Michigan either. The farthest, besides California, I've been to in the Midwest. I've been to Cincinnati, and you'd like this, Jai. I don't know if I ever told you this. Before I get to the sports, I promise, Tatsuya, I appreciate you. I went to Cincinnati. It was Columbus Day weekend, 1998. Neil O'Donnell was your quarterback. And this is, of course, before you were born. And the Steelers played there. I believe that was week 5, 6. And the Steelers had a 7-point lead. No. I think they were down. No, I think they were up 20-16, if I'm not mistaken, with about a minute or so to go in the game. And it was 4th and 10 from the Bengal 10-yard line. Maybe it's on YouTube. Look it up. Steelers at Bengals, 1998. A 4th and 10. I believe it was at the Bengal 10-yard line. O'Donnell threw a pass to the left sideline, sitting in the upper deck I believe it was like the 40-yard line at Riverfront Stadium, the former Riverfront, rest in peace. They drew a pass interference penalty. They got the ball there, and then the next play, they scored a touchdown. I forgot who caught the touchdown. Was it Carl Pickens? I don't know if Pickens was on the team in 98. He may have been on the team. Damn, I can't recall. But the Steelers lost that game in heartbreaking fashion in the final minute. And Neil O'Donnell was the quarterback. Oh, I tell you. Oh, here we go. Fishing Angel. Me too. Yes. Let's make this J-Reel's live stream live with everybody. Big Bucks Rubenstein needs to put the pressure. Yes. Elias. I love that. We could swipe those. Oh, without question, Jai. 1,000%. J-Reel's podcast, they go to the big house, UCLA. Yeah, we could do that. We'll do it in the parking lot. I'll do a live stream and everything. Me too. Yes. So for Bio and Zip, we could do it. We just got to know when the time is. All right, so this for Tatsuya and everybody else. Let me get to some sports here. All right, and of course, I'll read your comments too. I'll try to cap this off at 2 o'clock because I know Tatsuya says, hey, we'll be here for 3 hours. And listen, I could be here for 3 hours. Obviously, I got nothing to do or whatever, but obviously, I'm mindful for you guys' time. So, and who knows, maybe one day I'll do an epic 3 or 4. Maybe I'll do it like a year end, and I'll be on New Year's Eve. Think about that. New Year's Eve, maybe I'll do a big extravaganza year-end deal. Who knows? Maybe if I can get a guest on. Keep that in mind. I'm going to work on that. Dallas-Detroit kicks off tomorrow. Obviously, that's a playoff game. And for J-Rod, who is from Michigan and a big Lion fan, they must win this game. That's all there is to it. And I'm not sold. All these people with the Cowboys, oh, listen, they can make the playoffs. And I get it that they're a loss behind the Eagles in the division. I'm sorry. They have 6 wins. They got to have one more win than the Eagles in order for them to – well, no, they got the same amount of wins now that I think about it because they have the tiebreaker. But my point is that despite them inching closer in the division, and if you want to even think about the wild card, I mean, forget about that because they're 3 wins behind the Niners right now. So to me, it's not a slam dunk that the Cowboys are in. And I understand their schedule is that, but I've said this before and I'll say it again. Those final 2 games on the road in Washington and at New York, divisional games on the road are not shoo-ins. They are not. So I don't want to hear that, oh, they're going to win those games automatic. No, not this guy. That's not to say they're going to lose both games. They'll lose one of those 2 games. And if it's freezing, if I had to say right now, I could see them losing a Washington game before the Giant game. Because who knows? Maybe the stadium will be overrun by Giant fans or by Cowboy fans in that final game, knowing that they have to get in for the postseason. Well, who knows? Maybe the Giants will pull together a last-ditch effort to win. But that kicks off Week 14, and it's a fascinating Week 14 in a couple of towns. One where my buddy Jai lives, and although he's not a fan of the Ravens, thank goodness, because I can't stand that team. But yeah, Pittsburgh going to Baltimore, and I know they signed Adam Thielen. My thoughts on that? Please, he's 35 years old. The guy is washed. Maybe he could contribute, and I understand the Steelers are desperate. How I look at this move was hey, let's see if we'll throw it to the wall and see if it sticks. I don't know if it's going to stick, quite frankly. I mean, you're expecting Adam Thielen to have big games. Now, hopefully he could get some third down possessions, but the Steelers offense, as bad as it's been, they're utilizing it the wrong way. But it doesn't help that the offensive line has been just awful. And I'll leave it at that. I don't want to make this a Steeler segment. But yeah, Pittsburgh at Baltimore, which is a huge game. You have, let me go through the windows here, which is even better. Your 1 o'clock window, this is for you, Jai. Cincinnati at Buffalo. I'm only going to put them in the mix because Burrow has beaten Allen in the past. And I'm not sold on the Bills. Everybody, when they looked at that game on Sunday against the Steelers, do you know that was fool's gold if you're a Bills fan? I'm sorry. And I had a couple of Bills fans get at me saying, you know what, you're right. We still have to play better. To me, that was more of an indictment on how bad the Steelers were than how good the Bills were on Sunday. So if you're automatically going to think Bills Mafia as you're jumping off the top of your van onto another folding table and to think that, oh, yeah, well, no. I think that game is going to be a good game. I think it's going to be high scoring. I can see the first team to 28 is probably going to win the game. And I trust Cincinnati's offense more than I trust Buffalo's offense. And who knows, maybe their defense got a little burst of energy. Now, I understand getting all the turnovers that they got there on Thursday night against the Ravens and Lamar certainly helped. But that is only an interesting game because they're 2 games behind both the Ravens and Steelers in the division. And because they still have another game with Baltimore at the end of the year on top of, well, not the end because the Steelers are playing the Ravens in the final game of the year. But I believe they play the next to last game. That's one you have to keep your eye on. So, yeah, I get it. They're 4-8, but it's crazy. They're still in the hunt for an AFC North title. Indianapolis at Jacksonville, that's a big game. I understand it's not 5-star. It's not a, sexy matchup. It's not, I don't know. To me, that's not even a 5-star matchup. Houston and Kansas City, that's your Sunday night game. But Pittsburgh, Baltimore, Indianapolis, Jacksonville. To me, Indianapolis is on that slippery slope now. Their warts are showing big time. This is where I can see them fading quickly. And this is also a game to see if Jacksonville's for real, too, because they've also been Jekyll and Hyde, too. I don't trust them. I think they'll win the game, but I'm not standing on firm ground that that's going to be the case. Chicago at Green Bay is a 4:25 game. All right, let's see Chicago do it again on the road at Green Bay. And because Green Bay has that tie, this is a situation where this is the first of 2 games that they played against one another, but the tiebreaker is not going to matter here because if Green Bay and Chicago at the end of the year have the same amount of wins, guess who wins the division? The Packers do. So you have to keep that in mind, but that should be a very good game. And let me see them duplicate the 200 and some odd yards that they rushed against the Eagles. And I'm not trying to make this Packer defense out to be the 62 Packers, but you get where I'm coming from there. Houston, Kansas City, that's a playoff game, I think, for both teams. Houston, they're riding high, hot as a pistol. Kansas City, we all know they do not have tiebreakers against a bunch of teams in the AFC. The only one is Indianapolis, and they're going to need this game. They lose this game, I think they're done. And then the Monday night game is Philly at LA. Chargers, that is, where you have New England, the Giants, San Francisco, and Carolina are your bye teams. So a very good, decent schedule. I mean, I like it. You have a few 1 o'clock games you could chew on, 3, in fact. You have the 4:25 game, Denver, Denver, Las Vegas, The Rams at Arizona, So Chicago, Green Bay, that is your standalone game that everybody's going to watch in the country regardless. Sunday night game is good. I like the 3 1 o'clock games. Forget about Washington, Minnesota, Miami, the Jets, Tennessee, Cleveland, Seattle, Atlanta. No thanks. That's a hard pass. Now, let me get to the college football. I know some comments there. I'll get to those comments in the you know what? Let me get some now. I promise I'll be quick. It was Carl Pickens. Oh, my. Of course, Jai would know that. Who caught the game-winning touchdown in 98. Neil O'Donnell got Pittsburgh on a fake spike play. That's what it was. Jai's on top of it. That goes to show you. I was in the building for that, and that's what it was. It was the fake spike. How did I forget that? I should have known that. Yes, it was the fake spike play that I was just exasperated. I couldn't believe it. And he did it to his former team. And the pass interference was committed on the touchdown, right, and they scored from the 15-yard line. That's what it was. I was there, Jai, and yes, that was awful. Oh, my God. Just thinking about it is bringing back terrible memories. And that was, 27 years ago? I will stay on that for when the date gets released for the UCLA game. Yeah, Jay, that's good. We'll be on top of that for sure. Without good. Bio, sounds good. All right. When I say on UCLA schedule, there's no date set, but it looks like it's the 5th game of the season, which will be early October, which won't be cold, which that's great. Hell yeah, sounds awesome. Maybe October. I love it. Bio, it's towards the end of the list for games, so that's what I would think it'd be mid to late October. Yes. Uh-oh. 1 game season, 1 game at a time, beat the Bills and survive. That's it, Jai, 100%. That is it. And listen, I hope you guys win. And I mean that. Even though, right, it's tough to root for other AFC North teams, but it'll make it that much more intriguing because even if it's a thing where, and I'm sure you'd probably want Baltimore to win only because you have the 1 game up on them now. So if you do see them at the end of the year or next to last game of the year, then you know that, we beat them in our building, then we have the tiebreaker. So I can understand that. All right, quickly with the college football. Now, you know about the rankings and the conference championships, which I get it. When you're looking at Ohio State, Indiana, that game's going to mean more to Indiana than Ohio State. I understand Ohio State's going to want to show them, like, all right, now you're with the big boys. This isn't a situation where you're playing Purdue and you're playing the dregs of the Big Ten. So I can't get worked up on this game because either way, they're both going to get a bye. Now, obviously, if Indiana wins, they're going to have the 1 seed. But how I look at this game, as much as I can look at this as Indiana, if they lose. Now, if they lose badly, that's not going to bode well for them. If they're in the game and they lose a close game, fine. But as much as I talked about Indiana throughout the whole year, how I see it is they got to pass on this game unless they get blown out. Because I talked about, who are they beating this year? All right, they beat Oregon and Oregon. Even after Fernando Mendoza threw that interception to tie the game, they came back, won the game by 10. All right, I got to give them credit. They beat Oregon, no problem. But they haven't beaten anybody else since. And I want to see them play against a formidable opponent. And obviously that's what's going to happen here. Now, does this mean that Ohio State's going to pull out all those stops to win this game? I don't think so. I think that they'll win the game regardless. But I want to see where Indiana does stack up against them. And who knows if Ohio State is going to go all out in this game to win, knowing that even if they play their B- or C+ game, they'll probably still beat Indiana. And I understand that may be a knock on the Hoosiers. But again, eye test. I'll believe it when I see it. So that's how I'm looking at that game. As far as the SEC championship with Alabama, Georgia, it's the same deal. Obviously, if Georgia wins, and that's what I think they would hope for. If Georgia wins, either way, they're going to probably be as high as a 2. And I think that's where they're at now, aren't they? I should know this off the top of my head. Georgia, excuse me. Did I say Bama? Oof, bad. They would be 3rd. Now, obviously, whomever wins the Indiana-Ohio State game, and if Georgia wins, they'll be at the 2 seed. But what's going to be interesting is I'm sure a lot of people want Alabama to lose because everybody's going to think about BYU. Everybody's going to think about Miami. They're going to be thinking about that next team that could get in there as far as overall. Now, the thing is, Miami's probably not going to get in because we're talking about conference championship, and they got screwed. I mean, Duke of Virginia because of the stupid tiebreaker. And even that I'm still trying to wrap my head around. But BYU, if they win and beat Texas Tech, that's going to certainly be a big thing for the committee to have to unfold there to see who's going to be the final 12 for the playoff, which will be announced Sunday night. And yeah, to me, the conference championship games, they don't mean as much as they used to. And I know that we could look at what's going to happen with that Tulane and James Madison. And let me just get the breakdown of the time of these games. And we know about the James Madison code. Yeah, we know all that. But as I pull up the schedule real quick, you would think I should know this off the top of my head. There's only a handful of games. Yeah, BYU, Texas Tech is at 12. Alabama, we all know 4 o'clock. That's the vintage. And then Duke, Virginia is also at 8 going up against Indiana, Ohio State. But the other games, I said Tulane. Troy and James Madison. I just had Tulane on the brain, and they're playing North Texas. So what's going to happen there to who's going to get those last spots and how that's going to factor in with the committee, we'll have to see. But I know that if you're a college football fan, I'm sure you'd like to see Alabama lose, because if Alabama wins, then Georgia, they are going to be in the bulk of the 5 through 12. Alabama is probably, I would think, by them beating Georgia twice, and even though they have 2 losses on their ledger, but they're the SEC champ, they will probably catapult themselves. And I understand that Alabama's, 9th right now? But they'll move up based on the 2 wins against Georgia. I think Georgia's going to win on Saturday. I know that all the talk is going to be, and I'm sure it has been, in the SEC or in that region, that, Alabama's going to go in there, beat them again, they're playing well, blah, blah, blah. I don't think so. Now, Gunnar Stockton's going to have to play a lot better than he has recently, but we'll see. But to me, that's what's college football in a nutshell. We'll have to wait and see. Come Monday's podcast, I'll break it all down. I'll tell you if the selection committee did the right thing, wrong thing, they missed out, etc. So, I will touch on that. Let's see what we got here. Comments, and I'll go back to, I want to talk some NBA stuff. Let's see. Bio. All right, here we go. I disagree. I watched a lot of tape on Indiana. Indiana's for real. Will compete with Ohio State. So I watch some tape. Interesting. Wait, did I miss a game? Oh, yeah, Jay, I missed this one. But I looked it up. It's 8-week on Michigan schedule, so no day yet for any Big Ten game. All right. Yeah, I got to I know. And listen, I haven't watched every Indiana game. I can't front. The Oregon game, I was in and out of. And obviously, recently, they just killed Purdue the other day. I mean, come on. But no, Saturday night, I should be home. But again, I don't want to look at that game unless they get blown out. I'm not going to look at that game if they lose, let's say, I don't know, like similar to last year when Oregon beat Penn State, and I was looking at Penn State, let me see them play a big team, and they lost to them, and they did have the ball there, down 8 in the final drive. But that's what I want to see with Indiana. Because based on what they've built here over the last 2 years, and more so even this year, they have to be a team that, and they're going to get a bye. Even if they lose this game, they'll probably be 4th. They'll go as far as 4, I would think. But I want to see them just play well, and let's see who they'll stack up after the bye, which they'll play the 5 seed, whoever the 5 seed is going to be. And that's it. End of story. So, and listen, you watch more Indiana, obviously Big Ten football than I do, so I'm going to take your word for it. And like even Bio said, they're for real. So, hey, I guess I got to shut up. And again, I'm not going to base that game Saturday night on, wow. Well, hey, maybe I will. Fishing game. Georgia will win for sure. Yeah, I think they will too. What do you think about Penn State going after BYU head coach? Yeah, I know. It's going to happen. I mean, BYU, I get it. They have a history there. Players dating back to Jim McMahon, Steve Young, Ty Detman. Those are the quarterbacks. But you're going to see a lot of, it happens all the time. I can't be surprised. What I was surprised with, did you hear Ben Roethlisberger? And I watched that clip of it on Twitter about him saying that Mike Tomlin would be a good Penn State coach. Why? I wouldn't even. And I love Ben. And nobody loves Ben more than I do. But I thought that was a little. And I guess maybe he's just trying to throw his hat in the ring. And obviously, Roethlisberger has no ties to Penn State, considering he went to Miami of Ohio. Indiana and Ohio State both killed UCLA. Yes, they did. I was more impressed with Indiana. And funny enough, you guys beat Michigan the way you did. No, I'm sorry. I take that back. They beat Penn State. I got Penn State stuck on the brain. So, Jay, before you fall out of your chair, say, Jay Reels, how dare you? I know you guys lost to Oklahoma and USC. I had Penn State in the forefront of my brain. So that is my bad. Hand raised high in the air. It was Penn State they destroyed, UCLA. Whoop, wait, hang on. Bio, I agree, Indiana's for real. All right. So I'm in the minority, but again, you guys watch more than I do, so of course you know I'm going to take your word for it. All right. Here's what I want to get to real quick. 21-1. Who's beating the Thunder? I don't know. I mean, seriously. And I get it. There's injuries. It's a long season, et cetera, et cetera. But with the way that team is playing, I don't know who's going to beat them when it's all said and done. They are as hot as anyone that we've seen since the 2015, 2016 Golden State Warriors when they started off 24-0. And they're the fourth team in NBA history to start off their year 21-1. Now, it's a little bit too early to start talking 73-9 or 74-8 to eclipse the Warrior record of that year. Let me see them. Let me get to the 60-game mark. Let's see where they're at in the 60 games. So once you get to the three-quarter pole of the season, let me see where they're at then. Not even halfway. Because let's say at the halfway point, if you even want to duplicate this, let's say they're 42-3. They'll have a good shot because that means they have to lose 5 games the rest of the way in order to eclipse that mark. So when we get to the halfway point, but I think once you get to the final 20 games, you'll have a real better read and say, like, you know what? They could do it. 74-8 is no joke. But I will say this. People, when they talk about that Warrior team, yeah, they remember 73-9. But what they remember more is that they didn't win the title that year. So if SGA and company top 73-9, they won not 1,000, 100 million have to win the title this year. And there'll be pressure. So let's see what happens there. But you can't knock what they've done. I mean, 21-1, no hangover from the NBA championship of a year ago. This is the other thing I want to talk about. CP3 sent home. Now, for those who've listened to me over the years, I've never been a big CP3 fan. When people talk, oh, he's a top 5 point guard of all time. Blah, blah. No, listen, he's in the top 10. He has to be, without question. He's played 20 years. And you could even want to say he's been a bit of a compiler in that regard, but I get it. Health has been on his side. He's played a bunch of years. I don't want to knock him from that regard. And it's not as if I dislike him, but I don't think he's the top 5 point guard. Top 10, yes, top 5. And when I saw that Instagram where he says, hey, guys, I'm getting sent home, and he said that pretty much in the middle of the night, it seemed, I was very surprised. Now, I just saw here there was a report that sources that he and Tyronn Lue didn't get along or didn't speak or weren't on speaking terms. Okay, but I would think with the amount of respect for both guys, Tyronn Lue and CP3, that even if there was a disconnect, did it have to come to a point where they sent them home? They couldn't finish the road trip and then make an announcement then? And I understand that's all on Lawrence Frank. But, yeah, I just thought that was odd. Like, how would they, or not even how, like, why would they do that to him? And listen, I get he's an all-time great and Hall of Famer, no doubt, and everything that I just mentioned, him being a top 10 point guard. But you would think there would have been a little bit of a, you know what? And I don't even know, when does their road trip finish? Watch tonight be the last night, and they're in Atlanta. I'm going to pull up the schedule real quick. Clippers. If this is the last stop on the long road trip because they just played Miami prior to that, then you couldn't wait to get home. You couldn't wait for them to touch down, get to the facility, and then say, you know what, Chris, upon further review, that's it. No, they're in the middle of a long road trip. All right, because then they go to Memphis, Minnesota, Houston. They don't get back to LA until December 15th. All right, well, I guess they didn't want to have him for, count them, 4 more games on the road trip. I don't know. I guess just to me, and listen, it's a cold-hearted business. There's no loyalty. And if they let him go in the middle of the night, so be it. I just thought it was kind of weird. And listen, he was only averaging, like 3 points a game, only making $3 million. So, and here I am bringing out the pom-poms to Chris Paul. But yeah, I just thought that was a little bit strange how they did that. That's just my humble opinion. Next up, for those who care, Avalanche are the NHL's best team to date. I mean, think about this. They played, 26 games, the Avalanche? And they've only lost, count them, on one hand. One game in regulation. I mean, 19-1-6, that's as good as it gets. So they're the team that's going to be looked after. And even though they have 34 points, which ties them with Carolina, even the Capitals who have played well here, and Ovechkin's been scoring goals left and right. And Tampa's also played well, though the Islanders stopped their losing streak last night out at UBS. They had won 7 in a row prior to the game last night where the Islanders won 2-1. But Colorado, what a year that they've had. 44 points. I say 34? My eyes are deceiving me. Yeah, they have 10 more points than Carolina, Washington, Tampa, so my bad. Where are my glasses? Look, there's a good place for them. They're off to the side here. Come on, Jerry Reels, get to it. Get with it. So that's what you have there with the NHL. I could talk some more stuff, but Now, the next and last thing I want to talk about is right here. Hot stove. Winter meetings on Sunday in Orlando. You're going to hear, I'm sure, a lot about the Pete Alonsos of the world, the Cody Bellingers, the Framber Valdezes, the Kyle Tuckers. As you read Jai's comments earlier, he wants Diaz, he wants Tucker, he wants Michael King, he wants them all on the team, even Schwarber. And you know what? The Orioles should. They're in the business to win baseball games, not to try to be frugal and say, oh, well, we want to do this, but we're trying to sit in the. My question here is that I wonder if it's going to be a quiet winter meetings or will it be like right out of the gate? We've seen some activity, as we talked about there, with Devin Williams and the Ryan Helseys of the world and players like that. But now that we're talking about the big players, are we going to see activity? Are we going to be surprised? Now, I don't have any intel as to who's going to go where, and I'm sure I'll be on Twitter, and I'm not a Twitter guy, but that's the best place to get information to see what's going to happen here. But I would expect to be some activity, but I don't know if you're going to have a lot of the big players off the board, especially by the time we get to this time next week where the winter meetings in earnest, they're from Sunday to Thursday, but by the time we get to this time next week, you're either going to get a lot of activity, some activity, or at this point, it's going to start to wean out. And all I can hope for as a Met fan, do I want Alonso to stay? I do. As I've shared before, I'm giving him a 5-year deal with the last year as a team option, 5-year, $150. He got $30 million this past year, and he's only getting 4 years. And not only that, but he's going to end up being a DH. And that's why I think it'd be important if the Mets, let's say if they sign Schwarber and Alonso, Schwarber 3 years, $75 million. He's your DH the next 3 years. That 4th year, you can put Alonso at DH. And if you bring him back on the team option, here's your DH in the 5th year. There you go, David Stearns. You're welcome. Now let's get to it. But who is going to come off of the free agent list of those big ones? Alex Bregman's another one. And I'm sure I'm missing a couple others too. But we know who the big free agents are. Are they going to be off the board by the time we get to next Wednesday's live stream? I'm sure you'll get some, but I don't know if you're going to get all. And that's what I love about this time of year. And I get it that baseball, they drag it out. And when you got Scott Boras as your agent, you got to get the binder out and read all the stupid analytics and the stats. And I just, stop. Come on. Let's just get these deals done and that's it. And then we could get to Christmas and that is that. Not get to spring training where you still got 3 big free agents that haven't been signed. And therefore, you're still waiting with bated breath. Or at that point, you're like, oh, really? Alex Bregman signed with the Red Sox on February 15th? All right, great. I'll see you on opening day at the end of March. No. We want this on and popping now. We don't want this to be a thing where, and here I am doing this, right? But I'm not jumping on my seat going crazy. Yeah, we want to see some activity. We don't want this dragged into Christmas, past New Year, when we're all wrapped up in the football. And then all of a sudden, Pete Alonso signs with X team on the eve of the divisional playoff round. Nobody's going to care. Unless you're a Dynamo baseball fan like yours truly, which I'm going to care. But it gets swallowed up and lost. That's why you cash in now. Winter meetings, rumors, reports, rumblings, scuttlebutt. We want to hear it all now, but at the same time, we want it to come to fruition. Not when we're trying to open up Christmas gifts or you're drinking eggnog or you're ready to see the ball drop on New Year. No, we don't want any of that. So we'll have to wait and see. One last thing before I get to the comments, and I'll wrap up in the next 15 minutes. So for those who are on, I appreciate you guys. You know that. If you haven't watched my new commentary video up on the YouTube channel, Why Watching Sports is Broken, this is a video that was taken from June Lee, who was formerly on ESPN. And I also did a video of his where he talked about why sports media is broken. And, I had to go off on that. I went off a little bit on this. I agree with him a lot, but there were a couple of things that I disagreed with him and a couple of things that he didn't add on that I did. So check that out. It's about 33 minutes long. I know it's a little bit long, but you know what? It's entertaining. It's a very good video, edited well for June's sake, not for me. And I plan to have more commentary video like that in the days and weeks to come. So if you haven't subscribed, please do so. I would implore you to do just that. And then, of course, just also remember this before I get to the comments. The new channel strictly for the J Reels podcast. Did I put a period after that? Oh, that's a bad job on me. Come on. Seriously? Watch this. Ready? I actually had it punctuated at the end of that. Now let's bring that up again. There we go. Somebody calling me right now. Well, I'm not answering that. That's an area code I'm not familiar with. So, yeah, now I'm getting this. Get this out of here. Goodbye. All right. So for the J Reels podcast YouTube channel, that's going to be in the new year. Definitely check that out, which I'll probably put the podcast. I may put the shorts up there, but I don't know. I don't know as of yet because I've actually gotten a big boost from a lot of the shorts and a lot of the content recently through the channel as I'm now 8 away from 800. So I'm trying to get to that 1,000 mark. As I've said before, and I'll say it again, tell your family, friends, foes, frenemies about the channel, etc. I sincerely appreciate it. But let me get to the comments here before I sign off. Let's scroll up here. Indiana's for real. I think I was one of the last ones. Hold on. Still getting used to the Big Ten. Yeah, I agree. I know. I can't stand it. With Oregon and Washington, I've been talking with what's called the other day about that. I forgot with Jay. I'm just disappointed in Michigan. They will always be my team, but they really need to get their crap together. Yeah. Let's see who they recruit this offseason. Yeah, the Michigan basketball team. Yeah, no, they're actually good. They've had a great start. And, yeah, I can see them having a big year there in Ann Arbor for the basketball team. Yes, they did, but they should have went in to the game to rip Ohio State to shreds. Well, it seems like you're not a fan of Sharon Moore, their fishing angel. And I know that his patience is running thin there too. Oh, yeah, without question, disaster. Paul's days are over. He should have went to a contender last year to get that ring. He was in San Antonio. I know on my shorts today, and one of the guys that I know I follow who's been on my podcast before, Gerald Brown, who's on Sirius XM, he thought maybe go back to the Rockets. Listen, if he wants to ring chase, that would be the place to go, but he's going to have to play defense on the Ime Udoka. I think it'd probably be better for him to go east because if he goes to Houston, again, you got the big bad monster in Oklahoma City. I know Tyler Kolek. How about the Knicks as a backup? Why not? What do you think about that, Zip? I know you're a Knicks fan, aren't you? Tatsuya Mai is going to get paid during the winter meetings. Yes, he is. I love the name Tatsuya. I love that handle. Even though you are, I haven't did Rhoda and the bag of chips. I forgot which one that was. And I was going to say, let's go Mets. It's not let's go Mets. Oh, yeah. But Tatsuya, I know who you are. So that's all that matters, right? And everybody else in the room for that matter, too. Steve Combs, he's saying he wants the Mets to be like the Dodgers. We'll go after everyone again. Yeah, I know. To me, that's nonsense. And when you have David Stearns, who's been in a small market his whole life other than the last few years, and right, when you're going after the Frankie Montoses and the Griffin Cannings of the world and guys like that, I mean, what do you expect? Jay, thank you, my man, as always. You have a great day as well. I appreciate you. Yes, Fishing Angel. Thank you. And, of course, all blessings and my thoughts, prayers go to you and your family, obviously. Thank you, Fishing Angel. I appreciate that. And any last words from you guys and gals out there? Now's your shot. Now's your chance. I'll go through the comments in a matter of moments, but I have to do some housekeeping to close. If you haven't done so, people, what are you waiting for? Please like, subscribe, etc. Not only do I have podcasts every Monday and Thursday, as you all know, roughly noon to 12:30 as I'm back. So no 8 p.m., 9 p.m. I think I put the podcast Monday at 11:29 p.m., not a.m., this past Monday. My podcast pregames 9:30 a.m. every Monday and Thursday. The live stream here every Wednesdays, at 12 noon. And yes, stay tuned to the channel for updates because I am thinking about doing an extravaganza at the end of the year. I also have some plans to do an 8th anniversary, which will be March 1st on a Sunday. I want to do it at a local, not a local bar, but do it at a bar, possibly in Manhattan somewhere, so everybody could get to. I'll live stream it. I got to get permission and all that, so we'll see what happens there. But yeah, there's a lot of things coming down the pike here for the channel, podcast, not only the commentary, the critique videos, the vlogs. I got a couple of those that I'm still in the works of doing. So yeah, I am your one-stop shopping for anything and everything that has to do with sports, even life for that matter, as I start off the live stream here with gratitude and just being thankful for just staying the course, staying in the moment. And look, here I am where I thought I'd be right now sitting in a courtroom just listening to testimony after testimony after testimony. So thankfully that was not the case. So if you can, again, just please subscribe. I'd appreciate it. Latest edition, as you know, coming tomorrow. We know about the podcast pregame, as I mentioned. That is tomorrow, also 9:30. And thanks to all stopping by live on the replay. And if you are watching the replay, you can leave a comment. Do so. I'll be more than happy to follow up because before I get to the comments, whether you do or do not know, this is what I love to do, people. It's in the blood. It's in the DNA. Talking sports since birth. And you know that as long as I sit in front of this microphone and camera, I will always deliver nothing but passion, fire, energy, fury with my thoughts, opinions, critiques, praise, analysis, feelings on anything and everything that happens on the world of the diamond, ice, gridiron, hardwood, golf course, racetrack, tennis court, boxing ring, octagon, you name it. From my lips to your ears, from my heart to your soul, from where I am to wherever you are, the J Reels live stream always comes live, correct, direct, and in full effect. Let me get to these final comments. Tatsuya, you're the man. Donavis, did you think post-dated contracts going to be a big issue at the winter meeting? Do I think post-dated contracts? No, I don't think so. What do you mean? So contracts that are going to go past 2026 into the abyss, which could be Armageddon for baseball when the CBA is up? I believe you're referring to that. Tatsuya, I'm terrible. Yes. Metroply, Jonathan Schnuckup, yep. Everyday Mets. Wait a minute. I just found out. You're Jonathan Shankup? Should I have known that? I remember that name. But that was you all this time? Tatsuya, Rhoda, Everyday Mets. I know. I was thinking something else Mets. I know you have a million names. You're like I'll say this real quick. Tatsuya, I don't know if you listen to hip-hop or old school hip-hop. Do you know who Kool Keith is? Kool Keith was in a group called the Ultramagnetic MCs based out of the Bronx. Kool Keith, who was the first MC or rapper, you want to call him, that had aliases because he went by Kool Keith. Then he went Rhythm X. Later on, Dr. Octagon, Dr. Doom. He had a bunch of different names. And one of my favorites of all time is MF Doom, who was like almost like a spinoff. Like if Kool Keith had a baby in hip-hop circles, he would have had MF Doom. And MF Doom had Victor Vaughn and King Ghidorah. Those were his aliases. So, and also Mad Villain, one of the great albums of all time, Mad Villainy. Here I am talking hip-hop right now. Never heard of Kool Keith? Yeah. Kool Keith, Ultramagnetic MCs. If you Google that, you'll see who he is. But anyway, here we go. Salary, being paid after the player is done paying. Oh, you're talking about deferred salaries. Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. Oh, well, no, they're not going to be a big issue this year. No. Well, the collective bargaining agreement, if they're going to collectively bargain that you can't have deferred contracts, and I don't know if they could, I guess they could do that, but that's not going to be for next year. So, yeah, I don't think that's an issue. If you ask me, not at all. Yeah, so salary being paid after players done playing. Yeah, no, I don't think that's going to be an issue. Now, I don't know if the owners come next year this time, if they're going to say, well, hey, we don't want to do deferred contracts anymore. Maybe, hey, we have to keep them depending on the market. And I think that'd be a good thing if that's the case for the mid-market and even the small market teams. Obviously, they're not going to come up with a salary cap, but if they had a floor and a ceiling, that would certainly help in a big way. But let's just say, for argument's sake, if they did implement something where, yes, you can have deferred contracts to get the more the mid-market teams than the small market teams, because the small market teams, they probably still wouldn't do that. But let's say if you're the Tigers, let's say if you are the Royals, let's say if you're the Reds, I know the Pirates, forget it. But if you're teams like that, where you could defer money and extend it, but of course, they're going to have to still probably pay through the nose, considering, look at what Shohei Ohtani, $700 million, but $680 million that is deferred. Now, I'm sure there's a mid-market or small market team that wouldn't do it in that regard, but if you can, why not? I don't mind deferred contracts, but deferring that. Yeah, no, that Ohtani deal, come on. Yeah, that's just, yeah. And they want to laugh at me, Bobby Bonilla Day? There's going to be a Shohei Ohtani Day. And listen, Bobby Bonilla, on his best day, is a fraction of what Shohei Ohtani is, but my point being is that, I don't want to hear about Bobby Bonilla Day anymore, knowing that the Dodgers have 8 of their own deferred contracts on their roster. So that'll do it, my good people. So as I bid adieu from the South Bronx, South Beach, South Central, South Pacific, and all points beyond, peace, love, and God bless everybody. I'll see you tomorrow. Hopefully you all at 9:30 a.m. for the podcast pregame. Podcast coming tomorrow. Enjoy your hump day. Enjoy the rest of your day. Lots coming down the pike on the channel, so you definitely want to tap in, subscribe, and stay locked into what's happening here. And as always, people, much love for the support. Much love for you hopping on board, the whole 9. And until next time, on the flip, baby.